The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hi everyone, and thank you for attending today's Q3 product webinar. My name is Jason Root, and I head up our operations and client teams. My team and I, we get to work with clients every day, so we're really excited to show you some of our core functionality. Before getting into today's content, we do want to call out a couple of housekeeping items. All attendees' lines are muted. Please ask any questions you might have in the chat box, and we will get to those if we have time permitting. And if not, then we'll try to follow up with you after the webinar. And we will be sending a link of this recording out to everyone tomorrow. So leading our discussion today is our CEO, Scott Buelter. He'll be walking through several key areas of our CDP in a moment. But before I hand it over to Scott, I wanted to ask all of you a poll question. And that question is, how familiar are you with the Ascent 360 platform? And we are showing you the responses there, and we'll just give you a moment to submit your response. Okay, I see some responses coming in. So with that, I think we're ready to get started. So I think I will kick it over to you, Scott, and let's jump in.
Awesome. Okay. So we're going to jump into the platform, show you around a bit, give you kind of a sense of some of the things that we're doing to make it a little bit easier to communicate with your customers, know who your customers are, and grow revenue, and then ultimately measure that. And so, you know, the whole idea is that, you know, we will pull data in from lots of sources. That could be Shopify, that could be Lightspeed, that could be NetSuite, or, you know, about 100 different platforms that we connect to. That data gets put into our system, and then all sorts of metrics get created, right? Like lifetime spend. This is Craig Dalton. He spent $70,000. His average order value is $18.53, and he's made 38 purchases. And then finally, you know, we then let you create automations and journeys and, you know, ideas, things like post-purchase, upsell, cross-sell, high value customers, all of those sort of things that then ultimately will show you what sort of revenue is being driven by those campaigns. So without further ado, let's actually just jump over to the platform. So I'm actually logged in to our platform in a fictitious business called Boulder Mountain Gear, kind of an invented e-commerce business. And, you know, simply from the start, I can say, hey, look, let's go build an audience or design an email or manage a campaign, or even go look at all the reports and that sort of thing. But I'll start with this core idea of building an audience. What we've done, you know, on day one is effectively, you know, use the data out of Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Lightspeed to make a nicely flattened look at all of your data. And that means that we can say something like, hey, let's build a post-purchase email, right? Someone buys something and we want to go and talk with them. So all I need to do is drag a field out like transaction date. And this is effectively saying, well, what transaction date did someone make a purchase? And you can say, you know what, I want that to be equal to yesterday. And that would be the 23rd. Actually, no, that would be the 30th. You think I would know the day. And I can hit save here. And then if I say, well, I want to know how many people are in this audience that I'm going to send an email to, all I need to do is click these buttons over here. How many email contacts are there? How many total contacts? And some number will arrive based on how many people actually did make a purchase yesterday. Oh, good, 118 subscribed individuals. I've got 10 people who made a purchase yesterday who are not subscribed. And I could now save this. I can now save this audience, or I can just say, you know what, let me make this a little bit more complicated, right? I could say, well, maybe I want to add in what store they bought from if I have physical stores. And I could say, you know what, it's store 105. And now I've got only people who bought from store 105 yesterday. And as you can imagine, there's lots of data. All of the website visits are there for you. All of the email behavior is there for you. All of the sort of metrics that we create, all these customer aggregates, recency, frequency, monetary, how long they've been a customer or a prospect, all those sorts of things. So now I can save this as a post-purchase. As you can see, I've already got a post-purchase over here, and these are saved audiences. So if I would actually clear this and say, hey, I want to look at that high-value customer audience, I can drag that over. And this one was created where the monetary score is equal to 5, which means it's my top 20% of total purchasers who spent, with the 20% that have spent the most money with my business. So that's kind of a start at looking at, you know, what we're talking about in terms of building audiences. I would love to answer any other questions, or if you want to ask any questions, throw them into the chat. But probably move on from here.
And Scott, so you showed how easy it is to segment an audience and send personalized emails. Looks like you just grabbed a pre-built email. How would you build an email from scratch?
Well, so yeah, I mean, if I want to go build an email, I'm gonna, you know, come here and I can go to the create audience and say I want to create an email. I can start here and just say I want to design an email. And you know what I can do is now say, hey, look, I've got a bunch of draft emails that I could build from, right? Like this bike abandoned browse email. I can say, let me just click on that. It's going to open up our editor, and that editor is going to give me a nice, clean email design tool that allows me to edit this email, right? I could change the menu if I want to. I can, you know, take an image and say I want to get rid of that image, and I'd like to add another image. I can go browse our library for additional images, and I think I've got some in here. And there's a nice hero image that I'm adding to my email. And that's if you say, well, I really want to edit from, you know, something I've already built. But if you want to start from scratch, there's a couple of ways to do that I think is really important to show. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to come back to that whole design and email thing, and I say I want to create one from scratch. And right here, I'm going to say start from scratch. We've got a bunch of stock templates, which I'll show, but I won't use, right? You say, oh, there's all these stock templates. I'd like to start with that one. But in this case, I just want to start from scratch. And I'm going to call this the, you know, browse, abandon, cross sell. And my subject line here will be, you know, come back and see us. And this, you know, as imagine we built an audience that was people who browsed the website but didn't actually then make a purchase. So now I've got this very boring from scratch view. And I think what's pretty cool here is I could say, okay, yeah, let me add a title and let me add an image under that and that sort of thing. But that's not actually what I want to show. What I want to show is this idea of saved rows. And this is I think a pretty unique tool that we've created that allows you to say, hey, I want to take things that I've built in the past and reuse them. So I'm just going to take this logo header here, drop it there, and it's there. And now I say, well, I know I had a menu that I liked, so let me go grab that one, and I'm going to drag it over. And it's kind of, you know, wrapping. So I'm like, well, I really need to change the width of my email. That's too short anyways. And I'm going to change the width of the email. And now I'd say, well, I want some more of those nice saved rows. So let me put a hero image down. And here's all these great heroes that we've created. I can just drag this one out. and add it there. I delete that. And as you can see, I am in the process of building an email that uses things that I've created in the past that are there for me again. And all of a sudden, I've created something that looks like an email just by dragging 5 or 6 things out onto the palette. So Jason, I think in a sense that's how we think about building a quick email. So I built a quick audience. I now built a quick email, and all of that only took me just a few minutes.
Awesome. Yeah, but I'm not sure if I threw you a curveball when I said from scratch, but thanks for covering both the saved rows and the start. It is. I know we're going kind of quick, but hopefully people are getting a sense that it is pretty simple to create a custom audience and then go build your own email. How do we put those together into a marketing campaign? Should we talk about the campaign manager or the wizard?
Yeah, that's a perfect place to go. So we could just go to one of those emails and say, hey, send it to that audience. But what we like to do is use this campaign wizard and say, look, we want to categorize this so we can look at revenue over time and we can see how our campaigns are doing. So as an example, you might say to yourself, hey, Black Friday's coming up, or Labor Day weekend now. Let's create a Labor Day campaign and allow that. But in this case, I'm going to call this the abandoned browse campaign. And I'm going to categorize it here with abandoned browse. And you can see that we've got a lot of categories: prospect conversions, pre-arrivals, re-engagement, replenishment, all sorts of categories. And all I'm going to do is kind of walk through this wizard right here. And that is, let's identify the campaign and name it. And then as we move through, it's going to say, well, what audience do you want to send it to? And I'm going to say, well, I actually want to send this to that post-purchase email. I know I should have created a browse abandoned email already. But in this case, I'm just going to use this one. Then I'm going to move on to the next thing, and it's going to say, well, what email do you actually want to send it to? This is the abandoned browse email. So I'm going to select that and just kind of keep rolling through this nice little wizard. The wizard's then going to send me, tell me, well, okay, I know what you're doing. You're sending this abandoned browse to the post-purchase group. Do you want a seed list? Do you want to suppress anybody? Yeah, maybe we want to suppress everyone that is our high-value customers for whatever reason. Now I'm going to decide who this is coming from. This is coming from Ascent 360. I might want to change this to Team Ascent 360, and I might want to change a reply to email address or a from address. And I can just kind of roll through here. I can change the subject. If this is browse abandonment, it's like, you visited but did not stay. Not the greatest subject line of all times. I could add a pre-header. It's worth noting you can also add a bunch of tracking parameters, which you're typically going to want to do if you use a tool like Google Analytics or another one. And I can then append tracking parameters. I can say I want it to be my UTM campaign, and my campaign is going to be abandoned browse. And maybe I'll add another one, which is the source, and the source will be email. So then I continue on, real easy. You can see the little green balls pop up. I'm going to schedule this. I want this to go start. Let's just call it on Friday, but I want it to go on a daily basis at I would say something more like let's go with 9 a.m. And as you can see, I'm getting to a place where now I have this email about ready to go. I can send a test. I've got test lists I can send it to, but I might as well send it to myself. That's my email. If anyone wants to shoot me a note after this and ask any questions, and this thing is now going to come into my inbox. And then finally, I'm going to say, yeah, it looks good. I checked it, and now I want to send it. And boom, I'm going to go send this email. It'll give me kind of a summary of what's happening. And it pretty simply rolling through this wizard kind of gets me a good start to an entire campaign.
Right. And of course, we know it's exciting for marketers and business owners to see how their campaigns are performing and see them against each other. Should we take a look at our managed campaigns section?
Yeah, sure. So the whole idea is you make this a little simple, right? Build an audience, which we just did. We designed an email and we sent it, and now we can say let's go manage those campaigns. And you can see that all my campaigns that I've been creating over time are here. I've even got the new browse abandon that we just created. No revenue. It only got sent one email to me as a test. And so here's my abandoned browse. It will start getting sent daily. I could, in fact, add as an example, I'd like to see what revenue is coming off of it, what the subject line is, and maybe how many opens and clicks, that sort of thing. Now, as we all know, we just set this thing up, so there aren't going to be any other emails associated with it. But what we can see is all the revenue that's generated from the many other campaigns that we've been sending over time, right? The repeat purchase email that has all of that history associated with it. I can even then say, well, look, I love this browse abandonment. This thing goes out one day after someone browsed. Maybe I want to add another one, and I go through the same basic idea. I go select which campaign. It's already checked for me, abandoned browse, and then I could just go through, choose the audience, choose the design, choose the summary, and now have one that goes 7 days after, or something like that. Overall, relatively straightforward to get this whole thing kind of up and running.
Awesome. Well, I think we got through sort of the pillars that we wanted to cover today, but I know there's some other parts of the CDP that our customers find interesting and we might want to cover today. Did you want to dig in a little bit to templates and maybe also show our mobile design?
Sure, that sounds great. So if in fact I say, well, yeah, let's go build an email, I can come to this kind of template section, and I could say, well, let me actually go use one of these stock templates, and I like this one here. I can say, yep, I want to use this template. It's going to ask me to name it. Maybe this will end up being a high value customer lapsed. So you could imagine us, we miss you will be my subject line. So you could imagine us creating an audience because we have all the data from Shopify and from your point of sale system. You could imagine us saying, well, let's actually create an audience of anyone who's spent a lot of money or is a high spender, maybe from my RFM or something like that, but hasn't made a purchase in a while, right? You could say, based on your business, they haven't made a purchase in a year or in 2 years, that sort of thing. Now it's going to say, where do you want to put this? I'll add it into my retail folder. I'm going to select that folder, and now I've got the start of that email as a template. And I think I showed saved rows, which are just parts of emails. Now I'm actually saying, hey, I've got a whole template, and all I need to do now is go start editing this text. We know you are a important customer to us. Whatever you'd like to write, start changing these buttons, all those sorts of things. If I want to, I can add more content in. I could say, you know, I really do want a menu here, and this will allow me to start building a menu. Start letting me build a menu. So I could add a menu item, and that first item might be home, and then add a new item, and that new item might be shoes or something like that. Now, it'll also give me like an idea, well, what do I want to separate these with, right? You know, do I want an asterisk between them or something? So you could imagine building out the whole menu. But what's really, really important here is that we also have this kind of ability to edit in a mobile view. And as I look at that, now I can edit the email as I want to, but this is effectively how it looks as a mobile view. And I say, whoa, this really doesn't look good at all, right? I've got these three products next to each other. It doesn't look like I'd like it to look. So I want to edit it some. Now the good news is, really what's happening here is we just have a setting that says, you know, do not stack this on mobile. And you can see when I select it, I have all the settings, right? I can change the roundedness of corners. I can change content area borders, but I can also say stack it on mobile. When I end this setting, boom, it's going to stack them much more nicely. Maybe I actually want it to reverse stack on mobile where the watch is on the top, that sort of thing. So when you look at it on the desktop, it's not going to be stacked, but now when you look at it on mobile, it is stacked. You know, maybe I'll want to center some things or God only knows what. But what it really allows me to do is pretty easily actually start with a template, start editing it off, right? We're not going to give 50% off. It's going to be 20 at most. And then start you know, getting this out the way that you want it, all pretty straightforward to go use and edit and all that sort of stuff.
Great. Shall we take a quick look at data reports?
Yeah, I think it's worth kind of, in some sense, the reports really bring things all together, and it's over here underneath reports. And you know, when you talk about a customer data platform, this is so much more than an email platform, because it's bringing a lot of data from a lot of sources. And you know, in this example, we've got, hey, we know we've got 256,000 people in the system, but they're not all just like, hey, they signed up from email or we just loaded them in there somehow. What we know is that some came from email. Lightspeed, which is a e-commerce platform doing really well out there. They also have a retail point of sale system, and that's the sort of data that's coming into the platform. And we can see that we can communicate with people not just via email, but some via SMS, and you can push people into Facebook custom audiences. You can push people into Google's customer match. We do all the data cleansing, so you can actually extract and send postcards to people if you want to, or even call them. And what we're trying to do is give our clients a good sense of what's happening in their database. And it's pretty exciting stuff. In this case, what we can see is that this green section is only 20% of customers. That means that 72% of our revenue is coming from 20% of our customers. And so, wow, that's a high value, 20% of customers. We always like to ask our clients, you know, are you engaging with that 20% differently than the lowest 20%, which you can see only drive 2% of revenue? And we would suggest that you do, right? Those people want to hear from you. They're probably the people who've made these multiple transactions. So I can see that I've got over 3,000 people who've made more than 10 purchases, right? That's an extremely loyal customer. Unfortunately, I've got over almost 35,000 people who've only made one purchase. So now I need to ask myself, well, should I build an audience of one-time purchasers and start trying to convert them into a two-time customer? And then these guys, they don't probably need the same marketing message, right? I would probably send them some sort of high value thank you, right? Appreciate your business. It's great that you're a customer, that sort of thing. And I won't keep going here. I know we're running out of time and we get to questions, But there's a lot of reports like this, right? You know, top and bottom customers. My top customer looks different than my bottom customer. You know, sort of geographic reports, those sorts of things. Even you know, things on like source data. So you can say, well, where in the world is all this data coming from? And this is how many records came out of. I got 43,000 people out of Lightspeed Retail, that sort of thing. So you really know what's happening in this living, breathing system, right? It's not our platform's not like a MailChimp that just kind of says to you, hey, here's a list, send emails to this list. It's really something that's fundamentally different. All right, Jason, I know there's only a few minutes left. Do you know if we've gotten any questions in?
I have not seen any come through to me, but if you are sending a question in now, or maybe just sent one, we'll certainly try to follow up with everyone afterward. And I know we had another poll question, Scott, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to maybe show some of our images and our Lightspeed images real quick, or...
Oh. No, that's good. There's only a couple minutes left, so that's a good idea. Let's actually just roll into the next poll question, and that is that, you know, are you interested in kind of a complementary data-driven marketing automation assessment? And that's effectively what we would do is integrate your data and show you some reports of what we see in that data, right? Who are your high-value customers? Those sorts of things, and that's primarily with you know, these platforms, BigCommerce, Shopify, Lightspeed, but there's a bunch that we can do that kind of overnight data analysis with that should give you some interesting information.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're seeing some responses come in. We certainly appreciate that. This brings us to the end of our session. We covered a lot. We dug into the audience builder and our email builder, and we talked about our campaign manager and some other features that Scott covered. So we really do hope that gave you a better idea about how our CDP works and the power behind our platform. We hope that you found it pretty intuitive and something that you would be able to use with ease. And so again, we want to thank everybody for joining, and we hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I sure appreciate it.